All right, let's just jump right in. What if I told you that this entire AI revolution that we're all living through is built on a massive and honestly a pretty dangerous paradox? We're talking about something that connects your job, your private data, and millions of dollars in corporate fraud. It's a story all about trust and how, in the world of AI, that trust is being shattered on an industrial scale. So let me ask you something, straight up. If you walked into work tomorrow and you had a choice, would you rather report to a human manager, with all their weird moods and biases, or a perfectly impartial, data-driven AI? I mean, really think about that for a second, because your answer is at the very heart of the story we're unpacking today. Because get this, for the youngest people in the workforce, the choice is becoming weirdly clear. A full 33%, a third, of Gen Z workers say they'd rather have an AI for a boss instead of a person. That's a huge chunk of our future talent pool, basically saying, yeah, I trust the algorithm more than I trust you. The big question is, why? So to figure this out, we need to connect the dots between three huge and, at first glance, totally unrelated stories that all went down. We're going to look at why Gen Z is so ready to fire their human bosses. Then we'll uncover a massive data heist involving your public posts. And finally, we'll dive into how one of Silicon Valley's hottest startups allegedly faked its AI all the way to the top. Okay, first up, let's talk about that wild statistic. What is really driving this desire for an AI boss? Well, it's not really about a love for tech. It's about wanting to escape all the frustrating, annoying, and just, human parts of having a job. I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Imagine a manager who never has a bad day, who doesn't play favorites, whose feedback is based completely on what you do, not how they feel about you that morning. That is the promise of an AI boss, and for a generation that really values fairness and just, straight talk, that's an incredibly tempting offer. And the choice just becomes so obvious when you put it side by side like this. On one hand, you've got all the classic human manager problems we all know and love, right? The micromanaging, the office drama, the feedback that feels more like a personal attack. But the AI promises the exact opposite: feedback right away, total impartiality, and maybe the most important thing of all, psychological safety. So you see, it's not really about the tech. It's about the dream of a workplace that isn't, toxic. A place where your performance is what matters, and you can actually grow without being afraid of someone else's ego or bad mood. That's the dream of the AI-managed workplace, and it's a dream a lot of people are ready to buy into. And here's the twist. Right as we're starting to put our faith in AI to be our fair boss, our impartial guide, our safe space, the very humans building these systems are using that exact same technology to break our trust in some truly terrifying ways. And that brings us to the first major crack in the foundation, what I'm calling the great data heist. It turns out that the data fueling this whole AI revolution, your public thoughts, your jokes, your arguments online, it's being straight up stolen. Okay, here are the cold, hard facts. Someone scraped 1 million public posts from the social network Bluesky. And for what? To create a data set specifically to train AI models. There was no permission, no opt-in. The data was just taken. The reaction was, as you can imagine, immediate and furious. Users felt totally betrayed because this action just completely shattered what people call the unspoken social contract of the internet. The idea that we post things publicly for other people to see, not for our words to be secretly vacuumed up by some corporation to feed their algorithm. It completely changes what it means to speak your mind online. Now, you might be thinking, aren't there rules against this? And yeah, kinda. There are things like a file called robots.txt, which is basically like putting a polite little sign on your website's front lawn that says, please don't scrape here. But here's the thing. Those are just handshake agreements. There's no law making AI companies obey that sign. And in the race for more and more data, they're just deciding to ignore the sign, hop the fence, and take whatever they want. So people are starting to trust AI at work, while at the same time their data is being stolen to build AI. But the deception, it goes so much deeper. What happens when the AI itself is just a total lie? That brings us to our next story, an absolutely shocking tale of alleged fraud that goes right to the top of the tech world. So, meet Delve. They're a startup backed by the legendary Y-Combinator. And Delve's big promise was that they'd use super powerful AI to automate the ridiculously boring and complicated work of security and compliance audits. The only problem? A whistleblower came forward and said the whole thing was a sham, an act of structural fraud. So how did they allegedly pull this off? It's almost beautiful in its simplicity. Step 1, promise your clients that your amazing AI can get them compliant instantly. Step 2, instead of actually using AI, just make up the evidence. Step 3, hire unaccredited auditors to just rubber stamp your fake documents. And step 4, ride that wave of lies all the way to a massive $300 million valuation. Unbelievable. Now, why should you care about this? Well, because hundreds of companies trusted Delph. And now they have no idea that they're exposed to absolutely catastrophic legal risks. We're talking about GDPR fines that could be up to 4% of a company's entire global revenue, or even criminal liability for things like HIPAA violations. The trust they put in an AI solution has put them in massive legal danger. And this really is the key lesson from this whole mess. Software is just a tool. It's not the solution. It can organize evidence, make it look pretty, but it can't tell you if any of that evidence is real. You still need a human expert, a real person, to go in and verify that the security isn't just words on a page, but that it actually exists and it's actually working. Okay, wow. So we've seen the promise of a perfect AI boss, the betrayal of a massive data heist, and the sheer audacity of a multi-million-dollar AI fraud. Now, let's connect all the dots and uncover the paradox at the center of everything. I mean, what's the one thread that ties all of these stories together, right? On the surface, they seem totally different. One's about how we feel at work, one is about our data rights, and one is straight up corporate crime. But they are all symptoms of the exact same deep underlying issue. And this is it. This is the AI trust paradox. We are looking to AI with so much hope, trusting it to be better than us, to be the fair manager, the efficient auditor. But we keep forgetting that AI is built by humans. And right now, in this mad dash for profit and power, the people building these systems are using AI to amplify the absolute worst human traits: greed, deception, and theft. And when you boil it all down, it shows us something really important. AI is not some savior that's going to magically fix all our problems. It's a mirror. It just reflects the data we feed it, the goals we give it, and most of all, the ethics, or the lack of ethics, of the people who build it. It's a giant magnifying glass for our intentions, good or bad. So that leaves us with one last big provocative question to think about. In a world where an AI can fake a legal document, steal a million conversations, and generate endless lies, what becomes the most rare and valuable thing? Maybe, just maybe, the ultimate competitive advantage in the age of artificial intelligence won't be the smartest algorithm, but the most verifiable